YouTube, what's poppin', baby? Welcome back to the channel. First, I want to say I hope you guys are having a great day. Second off, I want to say I appreciate everybody that tuned into the last video. Y'all low-key blew it up with the likes, with the views, with the comments, with all the engagement. I appreciate each and every one of y'all. And we got quite a few subscribers off of that, so welcome back to the new subscribers. Today, we're going to make this a quick, short video. Because there's some news that's starting to feel a little bit more real now, that I feel like I just got to touch base on. Before we get to that news, though, Zadarius Smith finally touched down in Cleveland, and I did make a TikTok video earlier today talking about what we should expect from the Zadarius Smith. And, you know, a lot of my comment section was filled with people talking about, oh, well, he's old, he misses a bunch of games, he's injury this, he's not the player that he once was. And it's like, it's funny that they're saying this stuff because it's like, Andrew Berry isn't bringing in these guys to be the best players on our team. Zadarius Smith is a complimentary piece to Myles Garrett. And there was a Minnesota reporter that came on the radio yesterday and talked about where Zadarius would thrive in, the position that he would thrive in. And he talked about the third downs, getting those favorable matchups, and giving him that rest the first couple downs. It sounds a little familiar, doesn't it? It sounds like we want him to do with what we wanted Jadeveon Clowney to do. We all know Clowney wasn't all for the propping up Myles Garrett and setting him up to have his dominant season or whatever the case may be that he said. I don't remember. I'm past Jadeveon Clowney. But we brought Zadarius in to do exactly what we wanted Jadeveon Clowney to be. And the fact that we're getting a guy who brings some toughness, He was battling some injuries, and he still played through it. We never got that with Clowney. If he had a sore leg, he wasn't playing. If he had a stomach ache, he wasn't playing. So just the simple fact alone that we know that we have a guy that can gut it out, if he has a nick or bruise somewhere, that's a plus in itself. You mix that with the fact that this guy is a 10-sack machine, obviously has some Pro Bowls in him, has been into the playoffs, and has been on good defenses before. I mean, this is just a phenomenal plug-and-play piece that Andrew Berry just seems to find ways to bring in pieces like that, which is going to lead me into my next point, and the reason why I'm making this video is Zeke. There's a lot of smoke starting to swirl around his name, and one of the two teams that he would be a good fit for would be Cleveland. And I instantly already know what the reaction would be from the haters and the people that would be like, well, Zeke is nowhere near, that doesn't make any sense. Zeke is just, he's not the guy that he once was. He's not prime Zeke, 1,400 yards, 12 touchdowns. It's like, again, we have Nick Chubb. He would be another piece that you can just plug and play that would take over the Kareem Hunt role. And you could give Jerome Ford a little bit more, time to learn, time to grow. You don't have to throw Jerome Ford into the fire, which necessarily it's not going to be into the fire when you have Nick Chubb. But that's the beauty of this. Look at what we're talking about. We're talking about guys who were once at their peak, arguably the best at their position, coming into a team that you're not asking them to be that. You're not asking Zeke to go out there and get you 1,000 yards. You're not going out there asking Zeke to get you 10-plus touchdowns a season. You're asking Zeke to come in and be a Kareem Hunt. And would it be an upgrade from Kareem Hunt? Some would argue no. But, I mean, if you really look at it, why not? Zeke has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove to people that he can still play at this league in a high level. And what better way than to take a load off of him and he can just focus on just producing when he touches the rock than putting him behind Nicholas Jamal Chubb. Hand Chubb the Rock, baby. You know the vibes. But I'm just saying, I think it would be phenomenal. He went 231 carries last season for 876 yards, 12 touchdowns. He still put up 12 touchdowns. He was only averaging 3.8 yards a carry, and the reception, he wasn't as elite as of a pass catcher last year, going only 17 receptions for 92 yards. But the previous years before that, 47 catches, 52 catches, 54 catches, 77 catches, 26 catches, 32 catches. So it's like, that's exactly what we were trying to get Kareem Hunt to do. And if you could bring a guy who can not only catch the ball out of the backfield, who can block, and who is still a decent runner when need be, I don't see why it wouldn't be a great fit for him to come to Cleveland. Obviously, the money's going to have to fit somewhere in there because we know we're not paying him buku money like the contract that he got in Dallas. Nowhere near close to that. So it would probably be a prove-it deal, I would imagine. Maybe like a 1-year deal just to test it out. 1 year, maybe 2-year deal. I'm guessing at that. But for that price, for the quality of talent that you're going to get from him, and like, again, we know he battled some injuries as well, but you're not asking him to be RB1. You're asking him to be RB2. And I think he would be comfortable with that role, knowing that Nick Chubb is above him. Now, I don't know. I don't really know. I'm just kind of feeling for it. But if I'm Andrew Berry, man, I'm just going to say, I'm going to see what the price is and what would it take to get him to come to Cleveland, because you pair that. I mean, think about the offense then. You added Marquise Goodwin. You added Elijah Moore. You drafted Tillman. You have the young back in Jerome Ford. You still got in David Njoku. You got Cooper. You got DPJ. You got Nick Chubb. You paid $230 million and gave up 3 first-round draft picks for Deshaun Watson. Kevin Stefanski has every single tool that you can think of in that toolbox to have this offense not top 10. We talking a top 5 offense in the league. Like, on paper, from defense to offense, bro, this team should be top 5 in pretty much both categories, if not the very least top 10 in both categories. And we should be talking about a deep playoff run this year. And one of my YouTube comments talked about what I feel like this is a failed season if the Browns started out slow and picked it up towards the end of the year, and we found a way to make it to the playoffs, or we found a way to miss the playoffs. Anything lower than 10 wins in playoffs is a complete and utter failure, because if we don't make the playoffs, we're probably firing Kevin Stefanski, which means we're going to have to implement a whole new offense and a whole new scheme. If you thought the Nick Chubb trade talk rumors and the Myles Garrett trade talk rumors were bad before, well, those just got 3 times worse. So you're talking about opening up a Pandora's box that Cleveland Browns fans know way too well, and I really don't want to go down that path again. So at least if we make it to the playoffs, and we can't just go to the wild card. Like, we got to make it out the wild card. Going to the wild card is still a failure in my opinion. We need to win the division, because we should be competing for the division. I mean, on paper, this roster is better than every team in the division, if you ask me. Granted, we know what Cincy is, and we know what Baltimore can do. You got to tip their hats off to them, and especially the organization that the Steelers have. We know all of these things. And it just feels, and I'm sure for the people who aren't Browns fans, it sounds weird, or it feels weird saying or giving these expectations for this team, because every year it seems like we're saying the same thing. But for as long as I've been alive, this roster is the most complete, with the most talent that I have ever seen in my life. And you go back last year, you said the same thing. You go back the year before that, you said the same thing. But each year we are adding new pieces that give us that same feel that we have. It's like, this year should be it. Like, I'm not talking about it should be a Super Bowl, but this team is very, very capable of winning the Super Bowl. You mix that with the addition of Jim Schwartz, the no BS that he's going to take on this defense, we should not see any of the the effort, that effortlessness that we saw last season that I emphasized pretty much every week, where guys are just watching people miss tackles or, oh, he got to the second level, we're just going to let him run to the races. Like, we should not be seeing that on this team this year. So it's so good and refreshing to know that it's like we're not talking about trying to get a quarterback in here to find our to be our franchise. We're not talking about finding the right defense or head coach or this and that. Like, all of the things that we've done previous years, we're not doing. We're talking about our second and third depth positions, like adding pieces, and people are complaining that we want to add a Zeke to be our RB2 and that we added a Zadarius Smith and he's not the same player that he once was. It's like, this is what we're talking, this is what y'all are talking about. Our second and third pieces. Like, that should in itself should be a breath of fresh air for Browns fans, because we are always looking to plug in the main guy. We are always looking for someone to be our RB1. Like, we went out and got our biggest hype this season is a second round draft pick that we traded to get Elijah Moore. Like, think about that for a second. Think about that. Like, that's crazy if you think about the previous 10 years before that and what we were talking about, what we need. Like, just a few years ago, we were talking about, is Baker Mayfield the guy or not? And since then, he's been on 3 teams. So be thankful that we're talking, that the haters and the people who don't like the Browns are talking about us signing a Zadarius Smith or a Zeke Elliott, and not talking about the quarterback situation or the head coach situation or the receiver position. It's just like, for once in my life, I can just be like, look at y'all. Look at y'all growing up. Y'all mad at us because we signed Zeke. Y'all mad at us because we signed Zadarius Smith. Y'all mad at us because we drafted a guy with high potential. Like, it's just, it feels good as a Browns fan, you know? So I'm anxious to know your guys' thoughts. Drop them in the comments if you think we should sign Zeke or we shouldn't sign him. Whatever you think, I want to know. Catch y'all on the next video, baby. Peace. Peace.